We're letting everyone out of the waiting room for now, taking out time this evening to join us. Telling you in advance, I will be putting these glasses on and taking them off throughout the entire time because I can barely see, but I'm in denial that I need glasses, okay?
Me too, Gail. I'm right with you.
I can't, even with them, it's becoming a problem. That's not good, is it?
Yeah.
You have more?
Nope.
It's 7:01. I think I should start. How about that? I'm going to give it just a couple of more seconds. I don't want to miss anyone at the very beginning, but close enough. Let's see here. Kind of scrolling through, looking, making sure we have additional people other than just staff, since we don't want all listeners and no speakers, right? So we want to make sure we have to scroll through. Okay. All right, it's 7:02. I think I've given enough time. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to thank you all for joining us this evening to our community listening session brought to you by the Novi Public Library and our newly formed Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. We're so excited that you took out time to be here, whether you were invited by our library director, Julie, or you just decided you wanted to pop in and see what's going on or express yourselves a little bit about our topic at hand for this evening. And whether you're a listener or a speaker, I hope that you leave with something of value, whether it encourages or inspires or motivates or even educates. We hope you leave with something this evening. And as moderator, I think you're supposed to remain neutral, and sometimes that's hard for me to do. I always believe in being fair, but the technical definition of moderator means neutral. So I will try and do that. If you see me, digressing a little, just forgive me. I think I want to start with something that I consider to be a fact, and that's racism still exists. And some may dispute that, and it may be an argument. Let's bring on the argument. I'm ready for that as well, but it does exist. And it's time to address it a little bit better than I think we have in the past by everybody, me included, on both sides of the fence. This event is called A Need to Listen. And I have received a couple of people asking, well, who's supposed to listen, or who's supposed to talk, or what are we supposed to do? And this topic is about particularly African-American people to share their thoughts, their concerns, their recommendations on how the Novi Public Library can improve race relation practices among the Black community. And we know that it involves people of other races. We know that already. Before you say that, this is an open platform, though, specifically today for the African-American community. And it kind of stems from a number of things. But the George Floyd horrific incident is kind of what set many things off for many people on both sides, Black, white, other, whatever. And it caught us at a time when we were in a still place, many at home because we were in the lockdown, and we got to see the pain front on. And for some, it was just reminiscent of the racism that goes on day to day in many lives of Black people. It was an awakening for some who have never experienced or seen it so close up. And we respect both sides. But the point is, racism exists. Many individuals and establishments have since made addressing racism a priority. Some accepting the blame and fought, not giving the subject the attention that it needs. And while Black people have known that it needed attention all along, some people may have not. Non-Blacks may have not, and that is also respected. We're redirecting, or finally directing our attention to the matters of racism, systemic racism, and what can be done about it. The Novi Public Library is asking the community to share your experiences with racism at the library. so that improvements can be made, whether it something that you've encountered through an individual, through a group, through a setting, through an atmosphere, through a culture, through a program, from the time you enter the library to the time you walk around looking for anything else that the library offers, from the time you may experience in the administrative office, through the director, through the library board, whatever it is, we're opening the door for you to express yourself. The difference, another question is, what's the difference between, we've done this before. I can't speak on that because I am and I'm Gail Anderson. I'm Gail Anderson. I'm moderator for the event. I'm also the programming coordinator for the Novi Public Library. And I'm eager to hear some of the voices and expressions of what we have to say as a community. Because when one of us hurts, we should all hurt. And if you're looking at this now from a perspective of a professional, we can be professional, but I think you're also going to have to dig in balance of both for you to really feel what's being affected by the African American community. So there are going to be a few little rules that we're going to have here, but not too many rules. One thing that I have, and this is not a library rule at all, I just ask that you not swear, just because I don't. I always ask that at any program that I coordinate. But you can bring your frustration, please do. You can bring your comment, you can come right on with full punches. I hope we engage in very good, strong conversation. But the conversation will be you. We have people listening. And the difference is, again, is we have our director. We have members of the library board. We have at least or approximately 20 staff members from the Novi Public Library with open ears to hear the experiences of our community that affect our people. And when I say our, I mean all of us. We're going to start off with voices of expression, and then you won't hear their voices anymore throughout. I'm going to ask, actually, because I'm looking at so many people, I've lost my people that are going to be on the platform. Our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee will be on the camera. Everyone else's camera will be turned off. If you have control, you can turn it off. And your audio will be turned off as well, except for the members of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee, to include Vice President of the Novi Library Board, Kat Dooley, Trustee Tara Mitchner of the Library Board, Julie Farkas, the Novi Library Director, and April Stevenson, the Information Services Manager at the Novi Public Library, and also Dana, Administrative Office for the Novi Public Library. We've made this open forum, so we didn't pre-prepare anything in terms of who will speak. The only thing that I ask is you keep your time limited to 3 minutes is how we'll do it for now. If we find that we have more time remaining at the end, we will revisit if you have something additional to say. To speak, we ask that you just simply type in the chat box of NPL Dana that I want to talk. I have something to say. Whatever you want to, however you want to word it, just let her know you wish to speak. And you will be granted that opportunity. If you do not feel comfortable expressing yourself publicly, I would ask that you go into Gail Anderson moderator chat box, message me your comment, and I'll do the best that I can to read it. I'll probably get a little closer like that, but that's just because I'm reading your comment, okay? But your name will not be mentioned if you ask me not to. But to begin things off, we're going to start off with Trustee Tara Mitchner, who will give greetings or expressions or however she sees fit to launch off this discussion. Good evening, Tara.
Hey there.
She's also former president of the library board, so I wanted to acknowledge that as well.
Thank you so much, Gail. I appreciate you. I appreciate your words, just kind of setting the stage for us and all of the work that you and everyone else has done putting this together. I think it's long overdue, but we're doing it, right? Welcome, everybody. I hope you're excited to talk tonight. I'm excited to listen. That's my job, my day job. I am a therapist. Money, but now I'm listening just for common ground. I want to hear what you have to share with us tonight. I want to grow. I want to be better. Obviously, you know, if you've ever connected with me or talked to me, you may know how I feel about race relations. It's a very big passion of mine. I have a family that is multicultural. I'm African American. My husband is white, and my son is biracial. You know, we definitely have encountered many scenarios, being a family of mixed race, if you will. But I think what I want to really tie into tonight is that you have your experiences too. And I can assume what that looks like, but I'd rather hear you share it. And I also rather hear how the library can be a part of the change that you would like to see, or just even hear what you have to share. I am the chair of the DEI committee. It's new. We just became a standing committee at the last, was it the last board meeting? Or no, the one before. So this is a very big win for us. And I serve with Kat and Julie and April and Gail. And it's new. We're gaining our legs, and we're trying to figure out how to best serve this community. I think Gail mentioning the George Floyd murder is what really helped us to see that we need to look for opportunities where we can do more. And I think many of us are aware of that, but tonight my goal isn't to talk too much, it's to listen as much as possible. There's value when you're heard. And I don't know if you've ever felt as though you were saying a lot and pouring your heart out and people were just talking over you, or they didn't care what you had to share. That feeling is hard to describe, but you know what I'm talking about 9 times out of 10. So tonight I'm hoping that you feel like we have all of our listening ears on, as we would say to little kids, and that you can definitely feel like there's a connection that's being made. And it is active listening. Some of us will be taking notes. So if you see any of us looking down, just understand we're still here. We just want to make sure in some cases that we are jotting down things that are very, that resonate with us, if that makes sense. Again, thank you so much for being here tonight. Ready to listen.
Thank you, Tara.
Thank you.
Next, we're going to have someone who's really put her foot into working hard on the efforts that we have here. And our library director, Julie Farkas, is coming with open heart, open mind, and we will hear from her right now to have greetings and beginning words of expression. Hi, Julie.
Thank you, Gail. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be a part of this evening's event tonight. First, thank you, Tara Michener and Trustee Dooley, Trustee Michener and Trustee Dooley, for recognizing the importance of this work for the Novi Library and representing the library board as the DEI committee members. For our other library board members who are joining us tonight but are not on screen, thank you so much for joining us and supporting this work as well. I appreciate the amazing leadership that we have on our library board. Gail and April, thank you for accepting my invitation to be early members and adopters of this DEI committee to spearhead tonight's session. Thank you so much. Gail, the programming that you have urgently responded to over the last few months following the tragic death of George Floyd has been insightful, it's been educational, it's been eye-opening for me specifically, and inspirational. So I want to thank you for doing that. MPL is very fortunate to have you on our team, and through this programming, you were the first to start opening doors for white people to learn and understand more. So I just want to thank you for that. I am, and our library board is very appreciative of you, Gail, and our staff. And I want to just thank you again. Your efforts help acknowledge and address the racial inequalities that are being seen and felt across our nation. And this is just the beginning, as you say. We are very much in the very beginning stages of what we're going to be doing here at MPL. I'll be the first to say that there is much more to learn and improve upon for me, both personally and professionally. So I will ask everyone for their patience. I don't think I'm alone. And tonight I will be, I think, voraciously writing notes and listening very intently to all of you. I am sorry that members from our Black community did not feel the urgency from me to address their concerns or questions over the last few months. But I do want to thank those who did reach out to me specifically and shared their thoughts. So I do appreciate that, and I just want to acknowledge that. We've had a few people that have reached out, and I thank you. Tonight I promise to listen to you. And as I shared, I will be taking notes. If I'm looking down, it is only because I'm taking some notes and making specific words to continue to learn by, and to also make sure that I can come back and ask further questions if I need to. This is a formal invitation tonight that we've put out by this committee to look for feedback and to connect with our Black community. And I do welcome any thoughts, questions, or concerns. I've asked many library staff, Gail, as you've mentioned, to be part of tonight's listening session because we are a team here at MPL and nothing gets done by one person. So by them being involved, we will have many ears open tonight to what we will be listening to. Our motto is inform, inspire, include. I do say that almost on a daily basis. I believe in those 3 words. That was brought on a few years ago when we did some strategic planning. Those were words that I brought to that process, and they are words that I'm trying to live by. And so I believe our staff follows those through those 3 words, and we look forward to moving forward with all of you in our community. And thank you so much for this opportunity to be part of it.
Thank you, Julie. Thanks for the kind words about me as well. I appreciate that. We're going to get started. And as I mentioned, 3 minutes is what we allow for the first round. And if we have time, additionally, we will give you another chance to speak. Bring every emotion that you have with it, because we need to see genuine response. Don't hold back. This is a judgment-free zone. You are free to express your experiences, concerns comfortably. I have the button, so there you go. No one else has the button. We're good. So if you would like to share any experience that you've had that you felt was racially motivated, maybe not racially motivated, but you just sensed any kind of discomfort with your experience at the Novi Library, we'd ask you once again to say you would like to speak in the NPL Dana portion of the chat box. Your chat box, if you hover over your screen, I think most know by Zoom by now, don't we? But if you don't, it's fine. Hover over your screen, chat is right in the middle at the bottom. Click on chat and just let us know that you would like to speak, and we are open to hearing your concerns in any matter as it relates to race relations among the Black community. And you don't want me to keep rambling and rambling, so I'm looking forward to hearing anyone who has something to say. Dana will let me know when someone wishes to speak. I will talk a little bit about, because we have, before this event today, we've already been working on changes that we can make. And I see an energy that I've never seen before. And I'm really pleased. I can speak from different perspectives. I am the moderator, and some may question, why she works for the library. Why is she entitled to be a moderator? Is she neutral? Is she not? Well, I'm also Black. I think I can relate on both sides. And I believe in, and I said before, in being neutral, but I also believe in facing the facts. And we know what they are. Some of the other things are kind of touch and go. We need to see what we can do and what we can't do, what we're allowed to do legally, what we're not allowed to do legally, what we can actually accomplish based on the requests and needs that you have. And we want to do that. Some of the things I take credit or blame for, programming. I can admit that I can provide better programming when it comes to the Black community, all communities. But when there is a pain in a particular area, Black or otherwise, I feel in terms of programming, I need to address it. And I started to work on it right away when I knew we were going to have this event. So I just want to cover a couple of additional programs. And Julie did mention we covered the race relations series. I just felt like that was something we had to do. So I launched out and put together series that included all topics from talking to your children, talking to your teens, having teens actually speak on their experiences with racism, having professionals from social workers to attorneys to judges talk on the experiences of racism, because I wanted it to stand out. It was very important. But I'm saying was, but it really still is. And this is not a one and done thing at all. this is something that will be ongoing. And I want you to feel comfortable in knowing that there's accountability. The Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee have made ourselves accountable in a different way. I think it's really different. A more stronger, or more urgency, a more passion, a more heartfelt, a more care and understanding. And some may say, this has been going on for hundreds of years, because I think I've said it. Black people have experienced racism forever. And I'm going to be completely blunt about it, why are white people just now seeing it? That's what many Black people have felt. Why are white people just now seeing it? That may not be the case. And I had to reevaluate some things in my mind to say, okay, Gail, back up a little bit. I've had my experiences for my entire life. Some people may not have had the need or the thought to even address this topic right now. So you have to meet people where they are when they're ready. And I don't want to slight that at all. I think the time is now to act and move forward. If you expressed opinions and concerns in the past, please share them again now. And I can assure that there will be some sort of response to what you have to say. And I think we're even just determining, and if you're thinking when it's going to be, I have my date here. I think it's November the 9th at 7 p.m. is the date that we have set aside for a response. We're not using the word response, we're using the word, Tara, help me with that word, unmute yourself. Reflection, I read your lips. Reflection is what we call it.
You read my lips.
There you go, I did. Reflection, I like that choice of words. There will be a reflection of what has been said after the committee meets to determine the best approach to the responses. Dana, did you say we have someone speaking?
Yes, we do have two in line. So first, Jelena Brooks. I'm going to unmute.
All right, Jelena, hello.
Ask to start video as well.
Hi.
I'm
Hi,
so
everybody.
glad you're here. Thank you. Now I don't have to just ramble, but I can. Thank
No,
you so
no.
much. I welcome your comment.
Yes, thank you. So my name is Jelena. I am a parent of a 5th grader at Meadows. We've been in the Novi school district since she was in kindergarten, and I've been a resident since college and even before that time. So just want to first say thank you for this forum. I'm really excited that you all are doing this. I have many things on my mind, but I guess one of the main things that I can say in the short time is that we hadn't had much interaction with the library until I'd say her 4th grade, 5th grade experiences. And we felt that we felt we were able to find the resources that we were looking for, but the concern that I had when going was just the level of accessibility of individuals for support and just comfort in general. It's interesting, I work for a company that supports libraries, but we hadn't actually went to a library in a very long time. And we were encouraged by her teachers to do so, to have some support around ELA. And we individually, me and my daughter, were able to find the resources, but when we were, asking about a particular resource, we kind of felt we were guided, like told where that information was found, but not so much given that, I guess, walkthrough support that we actually really needed. Where I've talked to my white friends and talked to them about their experiences, and they've told me that they've been able to have one-on-one sessions, or like somebody to actually hold their hand through that process, knowing that I hadn't taken her in a very long period of time. But that was the one thing that came to mind. But just the level of comfort, we just, I guess, didn't feel as comfortable asking for more support or more help, because we kind of felt like we were just pointed and then they went on to their next person. So that's all I really have to share. But we want to use the library more. We've been using the online resources since COVID happened, and our hope is to come in and be able to participate in some type of programming and or just better support when it comes to asking for resources in that way.
Thank you, Jelena. Appreciate your comment. Thank you very much. Anyone else?
Okay, we have another. So Sharon, I'm gonna ask to unmute.
Hi, Sharon.
Hi.
Hi, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I'm feeling a little ill prepared. I didn't know this was going to be like you have 3 minutes. I was expecting it slightly more casual.
Oh, make it as casual as you want me.
Okay.
I'm pretty casual, I think.
Okay, good. I am here because I am the parent of a Black child. My youngest son, Matthew, is a 7th grader and joined our family through adoption. And I love the library. I love to read. And I have been contacting the library since June, specifically asking for an anti-racism response. And I think the biggest thing I want to say is that framing this as what are your experiences of racism at the library ignores the fact that racism is structural. So it's not just about, has my child come to the library and has somebody said something racist to him? Has he personally experienced racism at the library? It's about the library is a part of our society. And when you walk in the door to the library, you bring that society with you. So my concerns about the library is not so much about like, I had a bad experience with this staff member, or I felt like you failed in some way. I think what I've really been trying to say to the library board and to Julie is that I want to see the library step up with the rest of our community to take action and to be part of making things better. So it's not so much that I'm trying to point fingers or place blame or say, here's where you failed. It's I'm saying I want it to be better for my child, not just at the library, but everywhere. So I think part of that is recognizing that while Black people experience racism, all of us need to be part of this conversation because we're the ones perpetuating the racism. So I want us to listen to Black voices, but I don't want the burden to be placed solely on the Black community. And I greatly appreciate you, Gail, and all the events that I've attended with you. But I also want to see that everyone who works at the library is expected to be committed to anti-racism and to thinking deeply about programming. I don't want all of that burden to fall only on your Black staff members.
Thank you. Yep, that was 3 minutes, but
Okay.
Thank you so much, Sharon. I appreciate it. And if we get a chance to circle back around, we definitely will. We didn't mean to cut you off just like that, okay? But thank you, and please feel welcome. I don't want anyone to feel like, oh, this is just too uptight, and I don't want to express myself. I am the easiest person to talk to. So act like you're talking directly to me if you don't feel comfortable looking at the other boxes. Talk directly to me, and I probably can already relate as well. But share, please share. I think I have something in the box that speaks on people not feeling that this is a safe space. And I can't make the space safe, but I do understand that you don't feel that it's a safe space. If you would like to make a comment privately to me and I make the statement, I will. If you don't, I understand. We also have a new email address. Where is it? Is it in there or was that the beginning? DEI Novi Library at novilibrary.org. If you wish to send an email with your comment for a response by the 7th, please send your email comment by the 29th of this month. If you can do that, if you feel safer there. We really do want to open this up to make it as absolutely comfortable, relaxing. You can exhale, no judgment. No one's going to attack you. If they do, tell me. I have no power, but just tell me. But you know, I really want you to feel comfortable in sharing something because we're listening. So we're listening. Do we have anything else, Dana?
we've got Greg McKenzie.
Greg? And if you are just now tuning in, I heard a lot of doorbells ringing. The way we're doing this now is if you wish to speak, please put in the chat under NPL Dana. You can find her on there. She is the host. Just let her know I wish to speak, and then she will let you speak for 3 minutes, okay? Hi, Greg.
Hello. Thank you all for having this forum. I was invited by a friend of mine, Toby Tansel, who is
I know Toby.
he's a person who visits the Novi Public Library, and I'd like to just remark off the top in transparency. I've never visited the Novi Public Library, and therefore I've never had a negative experience there. But I joined the conversation because as a Black man in America, I bring relevant insight to the ideas of inequality and injustice, particularly in our public institutions. And I'm sure many people are aware of the concept of privilege. I encourage white people on the call today to think about that ideal if you haven't before. It is a real thing, and those who are interested in, producing more just and equitable spaces have to get into the business of interrogating their privilege. Just to slip the shoe on the other foot for a moment, living in a society that is predominantly white male dominated, certain privileges accrue to me as a Black man just based on my maleness over my female counterparts in the society. And so I have to walk around and move in a way where I'm constantly making myself aware of how my privilege could create unjust or inequitable situations so that
White.
my line clicked and I think it cut me off.
Okay.
But the bottom line of what I'm getting at is I too am not exempt from interrogating my privilege. Privilege is a real thing, but in the context of the conversation of Black people and white people in institutions where Blacks are feeling like they're racially subdued or experiencing injustice and equality, the ideal of individual privilege is a good place to start. And to the other person who just spoke their comment about it being structural, that's a key reality too. But what we all can do individually and from the standpoint of interrogating our own privilege, I think is important.
Thank you very much, Greg. Appreciate those words. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Visit the Novi Library sometimes. Anyone else, Dana? I don't hear you. You're muted.
Sorry, it keeps calling in and interrupting my microphone, but I'm looking forward to visiting sometime.
Okay, great. Thank you. Dana?
Yep, we have Paula Henry from Passon.
Paula Henry from Passon.
So let me unmute and I'll start her video.
Hi, Paula. I can't hear you. Is she unmuted?
Hi, Gail. How are you?
Hey, good. How are you?
Good.
I'm glad you're joining us. I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me and having this forum to just express our thoughts. So thank you very much. So I decided to write a little bit versus just talking so that my thoughts would be not jumbled together. So first, thank you for the various opportunities that the Novi Public Library has supported Passon, parents of African American students in Novi. We've had a great partnership over the years, and I'm looking forward to many more years. So my first thought, number one, it is my hope that my library would want to defend my honor as an African American patron to when racial slurs are being hurled at me, another patron, an employee, etc., that this type of behavior would not be tolerated. It will be my hope that the Novi Public Library would hop at the chance to protect not only Black people from being called niggers or any other racial slurs, but that the Novi Public Library will have a clear hate speech statement in their policies. This hate speech would not only include racial slurs aimed at Black people, but any type of hate speech, whether it be gender, race, ethnicity, religious, etc. Thought number two, it is my hope that the Novi Public Library will finally make a statement just denouncing racism. The Novi Police Department has done it, as well as the Novi Community School District, but we have yet to hear from the Novi Public Library. I'm not sure why it hasn't happened, but that doesn't mean that it can't happen. Black people are being shot in the streets because of the color of their skin, we're harassed because of our skin color. I would like for the Novi Public Library to be a sacred place for us. My third thought, it's my hope that the Novi Public Library will be the first library to celebrate Black History 365 days a year. I have an idea. By this, I mean there could be a monthly public display that celebrates and shares the history of Black people. This display should provide all kinds of readers the history of Black America. How would you learn about us outside of the foolishness you see on TV, if not in a book? There are endless resources of books that could be utilized for this monthly display, but you have to ask Black folks for our suggestions. This would be the first of its kind to acknowledge and celebrate Black history 365 days a year, just by having a display with books that non-Black people can read and learn about us, from us. My fourth thought, it is my hope that the Novi Public Library would join the Black Caucus of the American, I gotta go? Oh, okay. The American Libraries Association that could help support our Black History 365 a day a year initiative. So I'm throwing out an initiative there. This is an organization that serves as an advocate for the development, promotion, and improvement of library services and resources to the nation's African American community, and provides leadership for the recruitment and professional development of African American librarians. This organization could support recruitment and training of African American librarians right here in Novi. The only Black people, unfortunately, that I know who work at the library are, of course, Tia Marie Sanders and Gail. There's Miss Dennis. I did find out that there were 2 part-time substitute librarians. Rebecca, I don't know if I've ever seen or met her. And then LaTanya, who's worked at the library for about a year, but there's nobody full-time. And I guess that concerns me as well, because we have a lot of knowledge, we have a lot of resources, can provide a lot of resources. And then I had another thought, has the library considered an apprenticeship program to recruit African American librarians or full-time employees? Passing would love to continue our partnership with supporting a program for African American students, possibly that may be interested in pursuing a career in this field. We are here to help. We want our public library in Novi to be our library. We want to feel a part. We want it to be a place that we can go and feel safe. So I just hope that and notice I say my, Novi Public Library will consider some of the suggestions, and let's continue to work together to help support African Americans in our community, in our libraries. We want to feel safe there. So I'm all for working together. Again, I appreciate how much we have worked and partnered together in the years that we've been here in Novi. So those are my thoughts and my suggestions. I'll email it to you. I'm always here to help and support. Let me know how we can get this party started. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Paula. Appreciate it. Do you have any others, Dana?
Yes, we have Toby Tansel.
Toby Tansel. Greg was just talking about you. Welcome.
Evening. Hope everybody's doing good. So I wanted
yes,
to
we are. Thank you.
No problem. I want to say thanks to Greg for the words. Thanks for taking my invitation. A few others in the room also took my invite. I'm gonna lead off. I'm gonna get right to it. 3 minutes is a bit constraining. It causes a bit of a rush. So
I'm sorry.
If at any point in time we can expand that in the next meeting, that'd be great. So I'm gonna get right to the bare bones of it. So it says the median household income in Novi is $80,000 a year, with $44,000 per resident. Whereas in Detroit, we're at $28,000 per resident, $52,000 per household a year. So off top, if you don't necessarily believe in structural inequality, the numbers say different. So it comes down to 3 things. Either we have a system of racism, either Black people are just inferior, or both. I take the position that we have a system of racism. And one of the things that you can do is you can reach out to community members like Greg McKenzie, who's a prominent member in a place called El Kebulon Village. And what you can do is you can invite the children that's within his program, within my program, within different inner city programs to the library to get access to your resources and have diversity programs. But what type of diversity programs? Well, got a few authors right here. Okay, so one of them is Dr. Joy DeGruy. She does workshops on her book, Post-Traumatic Slavery Syndrome. Another one is Dr. Edwin Nichols. He does workshops on cultural competence. Another is Dr. Stacy Patton. She does workshops on the origins of corporal punishment and the harm that it causes within the Black community. Another thing you can do, you can learn from your scholars. These are all European American scholars. Norm Stamper, he does work on racism in law enforcement. Robert Jensen, he talks about the origin of whiteness and the fact that whiteness in itself was based and created to create a hierarchical division amongst people of different ethnicities, with white being at the top, Black being at the bottom. Another author is Joe Fegan, Racist America. And finally, Edward Baptist, The Half That Has Never Been Told. He talks about our labor and our work building the country. What else can we do? Well, you can also, as African Americans within a suburban area, you can also convince your white residential counterparts to allow information to contextualize our contemporary circumstances. What does that mean exactly? Well, that means when white people go into deflections of, well, what about Black on Black crime? Well, you guys need to value education more. Well, you guys need to value the family more. Bring in the context. When you cover Black on Black crime, you want to go into Dr. Amos Wilson. When you want to talk about the statistics to actually talk about the origins of our situation in America and globally, you go into the Covenant with Black America. Also, another one that you can go into is Brainwash with Tom Burrell. So we have a lot of work to do. So I'm gonna get right to it before my time is out. The main thing that we need to do is be inclusive into programming that's going to make everyone uncomfortable. As a Black person, we're incredibly uncomfortable to talk about racism because it can affect our schooling, it can affect our church, it can affect our employment. It affects everything because everyone as a global whole hasn't done the work to have the conversations without becoming defensive. It's a natural thing. So if you're a white woman that gets really defensive, I suggest you read Catrice Jackson, Antagonist Advocates for Allies, especially. And my experience in Novi was I was walking through the library. Tia Marie, good friend of mine. I've done a lot of work with her at you guys' library. Gail, we had a program as well recently. It was great. However, in my just personal experience, I'm walking through the library one day because Tia Marie said, choose a room for you guys to have your programming in. And a European American woman that worked there, she walked right up to me and noticed the language. She said, can I help you? Can I help you with anything? So technically, she didn't say anything disparaging. However, her tone, her attitude, her posturing was incredibly aggressive. And had I said anything contrary to that, then I would have become the angry Black man and probably been arrested, and a lot of things could have happened from that situation. So I just smiled. And fortunately, somebody that was there with me that worked there saw the incident and handled it accordingly. However, it took that person a lot of bravery to step up and do that. So that's a lot of things that you can do. Go through the recording, check it out. But the main thing for all the African Americans here, have personal conversations with your European American friends. Allow them to know that there's access to resources and to have those things at the library. European American friends, stop decontextualizing our contemporary circumstance.
Wow, I was still listening. Are you 3 minutes up? Toby, you know what? I'm going to ask you a favor, and I guess am I supposed to stay neutral? This is one of those times I'm not going to be neutral. I appreciate what you said, and I'd like, if you can, will you email the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee the resources that you named? It's in the chat somewhere, or email me directly the ones that relate to programming, because I am very interested. I believe you have my email address, ganderson@novilibrary.org. Julie is raising her hand. If you send it to the DEI Novi Library at novilibrary.org, we will all get it. And every bit of information related to what you said in terms of resources and program suggestions, if you can include that, that would be much appreciated.
I do you two better.
Yeah, huh?
we can have a conversation about it.
Sure.
And I would definitely want to include some European American friends, peers, co-workers, etc. And secondly, for all of my European Americans in the chat, just be completely blunt and honest. Have the conversations that your great parents would have at the dinner table in front of Black people. That is the best way for us to learn. We can't teach you about racism. You created it. Race in itself is racism. Race was created to create a standard hierarchy of human beings, with white being at the top and Black being at the bottom. We can't teach you anything. I really provided those resources to all of the African Americans in the chat, because it's the one time that you all say that it's okay for us to have the conversation. So I'm actually trying to educate you. White people, you are the experts on racism. You created it.
Thank you,
You're welcome.
Toby. Dana, do we have someone else?
We do not at this time.
You do not?
Nope, nobody. Yeah, if anybody else wants to speak, please just direct message me. It's NPL-Dana in the chat.
And I'm silent right now because I'm scrolling through. I think I have a chat inbox to me. Just give me a second, please. Someone is expressing that they visited the Novi Library to apply for a part-time job, and there were many positions available. And I had one interview, and I was told by the secretary that I was supposed to be called by the head person. I don't recall her name, but she would never take my call, nor would she speak with me about the position. And there were many positions, like I said, at that time. The rest of the message kind of dropped off. I'm sorry. But it seems to be an issue related to hiring practices. So I can summarize that. If you know who you are based on what I read, that portion of it, if you can send me the rest of that message, I would love to read it, but that was all the rest of it chopped off. So you know who you are. If you are the social worker who had that encounter, please just email me or chat me the rest of your comment. Checking again, Dana, anything?
It looks like Paula in the chat had asked, can you ask the panel where you're going with this program, and will anything be different after tonight?
Sure. And mentioning some of the differences, and I did mention in the beginning, we have a different set of ears, and I think that's one thing that's most important. I am a new ear to hear a lot of this, and it means something to me. We have nearly 20 staff members listening, and I think the different set of ears will make a difference. We have some of the same ones, some of our board members are listening as well, and I think people have approached the board in the past. But as far as I know, I don't think there's ever been a platform where many of our staff members are listening, and we are prepared to address. We have formed a committee. We have set deadlines for ourselves to meet to address what you're expressing now. We are recording this so we can play it back individually, collectively, to put thought to it and put urgency to the matter. I think the problem has been all along is the lack of, well, I'll take blame for myself, so I won't speak for the library in general, but urgency is the matter. Sometimes there's a thought, and we're going to do this, when this, and it phases out. But this is right on the forefront right now, and we are prepared to answer. I don't know if you, was that Paula who asked? November the 9th at 7 p.m., we will have the platform to address what we've heard so far and share how we plan to move forward as it pertains to addressing race relations among the Black community. We are already working on it. I see the change. Take it from me. If I say I see the change, come back on the 9th and confront me, just as programming. You will see it in programming. We are working, if you tell us everything that you want as it relates to race that's affecting you, that's affecting someone that you know that visits the library, that you know they may not be comfortable in stating what they need to state. We are opening the door right now. And this is not a one and done. I've said it if you didn't hear me before. This is an ongoing. sincere, and I think it takes sincerity, not just professionalism. It takes a heart, not just the mind. It takes a lot of components to put this all together. I don't think it's difficult. That's one of those side notes. That's one of those not moderators speaking. That's the Gail Anderson speaking. I don't think it's as difficult as it's set out to be. We can make changes. And if it has to start at the Novi Public Library, it will. Trust us again. You've heard that many times. Trust me, tired of trusting. But sometimes you just have to keep trying until things happen. And I'm encouraging you to please feel relaxed. Please let us know if you are angry, if you have a lot to say. I see some names that have signed up, and I encourage you, please talk to me and let us know more. Let me see if that person has responded. Do we have anything else, Dana? I'm going to ramble.
Sorry, somebody had asked if they could go again because we don't have anybody currently waiting.
Yes, please go again. And I think the other person, hey, Sharon.
Yes, let me. Okay.
You were the one who said you felt it was too uptight and formal, right? So I hope you feel better. Come on. I want to hear more. So you talk like.
Yeah, I'm fine with the formality. I just didn't expect it. I would have prepared differently.
That's fine.
I want to make sure that all of the people of color on the call have first dibs to talk, but if nobody else is going to raise their hand, I will keep on talking.
No problem.
So I sent an email to Julie and to the library board in September outlining some of the things I want to see happen at the library aligned with your strategic goals. So I'll just briefly highlight a few of those. One of the things that I'd really like to see happen is I think lots of times what I see in libraries and in other large organizations is falling back on implicit bias training as a response to racism. And I would like to see you go much further than that. I feel like anyone who wants to learn about implicit bias could educate themselves in about 5 minutes. And I'd really like to see us dig deeper. So some of my specific asks would be to host bystander intervention trainings. Interfaith Council of Peace and Justice does one, and I've applied for a grant to fund a training for 50 people, but I'd like to see more than that so that community members, I think lots of times people are well-intentioned, but they don't know what to do when they actually witness racism. And bystander intervention training is a 4-hour training that gives you kind of a toolkit of ways that you can respond when you witness racism or other types of discrimination. I would also like to see more effort at assessing staff feedback, particularly from staff of color and from other marginalized groups. And I think that would have to be done by an outside facilitator who has no ties to anyone within the library so that people can express their experiences without fear, and that can be incorporated in how you move forward. And then I would also like to see that as you're attempting to hire a more diverse staff, that one of the ways that you could address that is by making sure that any job listings are specifically shared with PASN, as well as with the Novi Northville racial, we have such a long name, awareness, action, and accountability. So if those job postings were shared with those affinity groups, then you might have more diverse applicants for jobs at the library.
That's it. Thank you. Thank you very much, Sharon. There are two, I see 2, maybe 3 questions posted, and I'm not allowed to answer questions, so I won't, but I will state the question. So the DEI committee and others can address it when they are ready. And the question is, why is Tia Marie not on the panel? And I see that in 3 spaces. Because I am not one to answer the questions, we will note that, and that will be a part of our response when we respond on November 7th. 9th, sorry, don't get it, it's the 9th. And then also, Dana, I don't know if you can access the person who is on the phone. Are you allowed to unmute them? It's the social worker who finished their statement. It's Jackie.
Yeah, I did have somebody else message me before her. Do you want me to?
Absolutely. It's
flip
just
it
as long.
around?
She wasn't
Yep, I've got her in queue to go after.
sure if she could be on, and then we'll come right to you. Okay. Dana, who is it?
It is Jason. So I will unmute.
Hi, Jason.
Hi, Gail. Thank you for moderating. Members of the,
Okay. Hi. Welcome to
members
your
of the committee.
Thank you.
Thank you for putting this event together. So just up front, be completely transparent. I am Jason Michener, the husband of Tara Michener, the beautiful woman, sitting on the committee as well. So I did want to speak from the perspective of a white guy who is in a constant position of always learning. I think what Toby said earlier is so true. We, meaning people white like me, invented racism. And even though I wasn't around when it was invented 400 years ago, or people like me put the structure into place, I have certainly benefited from the structure. And also it's been ingrained in my thinking since I was a kid. And for those of you who look white like me, it's not because I came from the deep South or I had people that said racial slurs all the time, although it did happen sometimes. It's because I grew up white. It's just that. So I want to start broadly and I'll get more specific. So if you are white, chances are you've learned a lot about how to be a racist and you may not have known it. I learned that probably every day there is a little bit of me that does something or thinks something or has seen things in a racist way. It doesn't mean that I'm terrible and evil, but that is a bad part of me that I need to work on and try and work through and learn different ways to do it. There, even in college, fortunately, I had some friends that were not white, and I would say common phrases that I learned growing up, I had no idea were incredibly offensive and racist. And it took somebody brave enough to stand up and say, dude, that's really terrible what you just said. I had no idea. It was just something we always said growing up. And I won't repeat the phrase because that's not important. The important part is there are definitely parts of me and my experience that I didn't even realize were offensive. But I grew up in a white household with a mom that was white and a dad was white. And a lot of people in my neighborhood were white. And so we did and said things that we didn't realize, maybe some of us did, maybe some of us didn't, that were not good. So I've learned about structural racism as an academic thing. And I've heard the word a lot over the years. I've been married to Tara for 15 years. So I have had my fair share of experiences, both in communities and even very interpersonal within my own family. But structural racism, that was still, I knew it existed, I believed in it, but I didn't really quite understand what it meant. I knew that it meant I would get favor where somebody who was Black would not. I knew that it means I might get personal treatment. I might get treated better. I wouldn't have to be afraid if a cop pulled me over. If I saw a cop, I would feel safe. If somebody who was Black would see a cop, they may not. And I would think that might be weird. I could kind of intellectually understand it, but it didn't really resonate. Like, I could know it here, but it was kind of hard to feel. I just kind of had to trust what they were saying were true, but I didn't really feel it. So that brings me to the here and now. I have now felt structural racism, and I really understand it because I've seen it, and I know what it feels like because it's not just here anymore. I felt visceral reactions to seeing structural racism play out. And the structural racism I saw play out, unfortunately, was in our monthly Novi Public Library board meetings. So I'll just lay out the history for anybody who hasn't been watching. I've been watching all of them. And I noticed in June, when everything first erupted with George Floyd, the board was very empathetic and very much for the cause of Black people in America, in Novi, everywhere. It was a general attitude of what can we do? And for anybody that's online, all the board meetings are online. You can go back and watch them. The whole board was united. We need to do something. We need to have a comment. We need to have a statement. We need to put programs into place. We need to act now, do. July came around. Maybe we don't need a statement. I don't think a statement's wise. Maybe we shouldn't do a statement. We don't really need a commitment. It's not really necessary. Is anybody else doing a commitment? No, I don't see anybody else doing a commitment. Maybe we shouldn't do one. I think everything's okay. I think people realize that we're not racist. That's what it sounded like. The only thing that stood was an initiative to honor and celebrate Juneteenth as a holiday for the library. So the library would be shut down and everybody be off, just like the 4th of July. And then in the next month in August, then there was a question of, should we even honor Juneteenth as a real holiday, or maybe some days the library should be down and it should be just an in-session. Let's educate everybody about what Juneteenth is. And it's like, no, stick to what you said. Just keep it a holiday like the board discussed. But again, all the other points, and I think Paula hit most of the points that the board has been discussing for the last, let me see, June, July, August, September, coming up on October, almost 5 months now. Almost everything that Paula mentioned that she would like to see done has been at some point discussed in your board meetings. And I don't know what's in your head, but I can tell you what it looks like. It looks like structural racism. And I don't know if you're aware of it, but structural racism is deny and defer and delay until it's dead. And just all the motions have been denied, been deferred to committee. We're going to review it. We're going to look at the language. We'll get a lawyer in and talk about it. And no action. And I don't have a problem with being thorough and making sure the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, but 5 months, that's too long. They're not hard lifts too. They're not heavy lifts. No one's asking for $1 million in funding for an ornate program. No one is asking you to fly in celebrities to speak. We're not asking for a brand new building to be bought. No one's asking for brick and mortar or an African-American wing in the Novi Public Library. They're easy asks. Put a statement out. Put a commitment out. Say we're committed to this. We believe in structural racism. Racism is bad. It's here in Novi. We acknowledge and accept that, and we'll work hard to do that. That's all that the Black people in the community were asking for. I didn't have a problem giving that as a white person. And I just asked the board, like, what are you afraid of? Because inaction usually comes from fear. In my own life, if I don't take action on something, it's because I'm afraid. Even right now, speaking right now, fears that are running through my mind are people going to listen to me? Are they going to take me seriously? Should I even speak? I'm not Black. Is this appropriate for me to voice my concern for what I'm seeing? Is there going to be any backlash? So it's not easy to speak. And if somebody has enough courage to speak their mind, please listen to them, because they've already gotten through these levels of fear of what will happen in the backlash. And I see a lot of board members that haven't quite gotten there. Like, you guys can do this. It's within your power. You can make these changes. Actually, in the board meeting coming up later this week, you have the ability and the authority and the power to make these changes now. And there's even stuff, Julie, as the director, you have the ability and authority to make and do now. And it's interesting. I've seen a couple of initiatives that you've taken on, and you'd be like, I've done this. I went and did this. It was no big deal. It was within my range of authority, so I did it. But I have noticed a pattern that you may not be aware of is when it comes to race and equality issues, the pattern is, I don't know if I can make that decision. Let me defer to the board. Let me defer to my lawyer. Let me defer. You have the power, Julie. You can make some of these actions right now. You don't even necessarily have to wait for the board meeting to take on some of the suggestions Paula made. There are some things that the board does need to approve, and the board can approve them this week. They could make those decisions and approve them as well. And I honestly don't know why it hasn't happened. It's so very frustrating. You guys can do it. The community supports you, and there will be community members that don't support you. And that's where courage comes in. Take a stand. If no one walked across the bridge, a lot of stuff would have not happened in the civil rights era. If people don't go out in the street and protest, stuff doesn't happen. But that takes courage. It's not a fun thing you go out to do for a picnic. So yes, you will have to take a stand as a board. There are decisions that I and other people in the community are asking you to make to address some of these things. And if you overcorrect, that's okay. We can always figure that out later. But do something. Don't do nothing. Structural racism has been embedded in this community for 400 years. The small actions you take are not going to dismantle it, but they will be a step forward. If we don't take any steps, we're never going to get any better. And I will just end by saying this. It's been interesting. I've also understood this better now. Diversity, inclusion, and equality are very important things, but very separate things. And I hear the word diversity thrown out around a lot. And it's great when you look around and you see people that look different and come from different backgrounds. That doesn't mean that they're included. It doesn't mean there's equity. It's great when you form a committee and you listen and you have sessions like this and you're including the community and you're listening to them. That doesn't mean everybody has equity yet. Now, if you take action and you put in place the things that the community members are asking for, and you give their voice as much voice as anybody else on the board, or if you give Toby's voice as much power as my voice, then you have equity. And that's where we need to get to. And it starts with the Novi Public Library, and it may seem like that's not going to change the world, but Julie, your library is mentioned in every single community, every single Novi communication. They're always holding up the library. The library is great. The library has these programs. Every time we get a newsletter from the city of Novi, every Novi magazine carries at least one article with the library. The library is one of the pillars of Novi. You change the library, you change Novi. You change Novi, you change maybe Oakland County. Change Oakland County, Michigan, the country. It's the small steps. And this library can make a huge impact if we take responsibility and change what we can change and be bold and take action. Maybe make some people angry. That's probably a sign that you're doing something right. If there are people that are upset, that probably means you're doing something right because it means you're changing things. And there are going to be people that don't want change because it's not going to benefit them, honestly. People that look like me, most of the changes that I'm asking for and that Toby asked for and Paula has asked for and other people that have called in and have asked for they're not necessarily going to benefit everybody. You know, in order to have equity, if I have more, somebody else has less, I got to have less and for the other person to have more. It's not always a zero-sum game. Sometimes we all gain.
Thank you, Jason.
I got to give up
really-
something. So that's what I ask you. Please take this seriously. Please make change. Make change this week in the board meeting. You can do it. I'm supporting you guys.
Thank you so much. Dana, if you will, please keep us updated on that 3-minute because I think we have a few more people. I appreciate your comments, Jason. Thank you very much. We still have Jackie available to make a comment?
Yep. So
okay. Are you there, Jackie?
Hmm.
She's on the phone, so we won't see her, but we can hear her, I believe, if she's available. I don't think we'll see her.
Let me see what this does. It's only asking me to start video.
Is there an audio option? While you're working on that, I'm going to mention a comment from Pastor Roselle White. He says, does the library leadership believe there is a racism issue within the library? Once again, that's something we can take note of and it will be addressed. Just wanted to read that. Dana, you can let me know whenever you can if you have Jackie available. Is there an unmute
I think this
option?
is Jackie, possibly.
Jackie.
Jackie? Hello, are you able to hear me now? Yes.
Yes,
Hi.
we can. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for having me. Thank you. But what I wanted to basically say was something that was just mentioned just now was, yes, I have experienced racism within the library, and I've been out here living in Novi. My only child is 19 now, so since she was 1. So I've been here nearly 18 years now, visiting the library from the previous library before it was knocked down to the new library when it was established, constantly. And myself, when I retired a few years ago, I experienced what I was saying in the comment section there, applying for a little part-time. One was 12 hours a week, one was 20 hours a week, just a little part-time something here in the community. And they interviewed me once in the library, a professional social worker after 30 years, well-abled, And still, they interviewed me once, and still the secretary would say, after over a month and a half not hearing from them, oh, well, you're due to be called in. You should have been called in by now. Her supervisor, and I'm not sure what her name is, I forget, but she would never take my call when I would call. The secretary would say she would put my call through to her office. She wouldn't take it. I would call directly to her at that time. She still wouldn't. This was like early last year and the year before. She still wouldn't take my call. I mean, I'm of course no longer interested in it at this point, but I just want to mention and acknowledge how within the library, there is huge levels of racism that have existed ongoing all of these years that I have been. I mean, and I love living in Novi overall, but within the library, there are huge levels of racism that has existed. So I'm not sure if the same person who was in charge for the hiring that was there, say, a year and a half ago is still there at this time, but that person would never take my call. As many direct calls as I was made and as many direct calls as I would send through the secretary, she would never take my call. So to me, that was a huge level of being disregarded based on race, is my opinion. That's my opinion of how I perceived it to be. So I just wanted to acknowledge that. And like I said, I've been out here for about 18 years now. And when over the years, raising my daughter in the library all the time, there's so much race, so many incidents of racism that I've unfortunately had to witness and be a part of, but on the receiving end within the library. So I think looking at itself, holding the mirror up to yourself within the library, the persons that you guys are putting in positions to work with the community who lives out here, pays taxes out here, and look at how they're addressing the persons of color and acknowledging the concerns that are brought to your supervision out there and doing something about it, being proactive, doing something about it, taking the complaint seriously, seeing what you can do to make a difference, and just overall trying to be inclusive of persons of color. When you look at positions and you see there that it's primarily white faces, and we're the persons of color out there working within the library, that is huge. That's a huge platform for, are you really trying to be inclusive or not? I'm not sure if Tia was she invited me to be here at this forum also, which I'm so appreciative of. And I've been chit-chatting with her over the years because she's raised her girls out here and I raised my girl out here and within the school system out here in Novi. And we've chit-chatted about so many things over the years about that we've both seen and experienced. And she's been a huge voice within the community trying to bring about change on various committees, on various boards, to do what she can as one person to bring so much change about. Now, I'm not sure if she's on this call or not, but I wish she had the opportunity to speak as well, and I would love for her. I'm not sure why she's not on the panel. Can you guys speak to that? I know someone said you guys will speak about it in November, but why isn't Tia Marie Sanders on this board, this newly established board? She's been just a phenomenal asset to the community and trying to bring about change and speaking up and, being just a pure blessing with so many programs she's been a part of, just helping everyone, not just persons of color. So this would be a nice question for you guys to answer at this point. If someone on the board could, I would appreciate that. Thank you guys for letting me speak.
Thank you very much, Jackie. I appreciate your comments. And I'm serving as moderator, and no one else is speaking at this time, but I will say I believe that Tia Marie is a part of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. I'm not certain why she wasn't. I'm not sure. Can we break rules a little bit, or will we wait later to answer that question? I don't care. I see a circle. Julie, were you making a? And it's okay, then maybe not. We will just wait, only because we have agreed to not answer things right now, and it will become a back and forth Q&A, and that is not what we want, but it will be addressed. If you can accept that for now, your question will be responded. Jalen, I call my daughter's name, sorry. Julie has her hand up, so if you want to unmute.
I'm trying.
Address something. She's the director, so I follow her lead.
Yep, I'm trying to unmute you, Julie.
Can you do that, Dana?
Yeah, I keep unmuting. Julie, is anything on your screen saying to unmute?
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. Just to give you just a little bit of background, the DEI committee has just been getting started. It started very specifically with both two of the trustees and myself, and we welcomed Gail and April in to get this particular program first started with this listening session. It is our intention to bring other employees, which is why Tia is actually on the call as a listener tonight, based on her position at the library. It is our intention to bring other employees into the DEI committee as a larger committee. So that will be happening. Thank you.
Thank you. A couple of other comments that were typed in the chat. Where are we going with this program? Will anything be different, and what? So that's something we can note to respond. And also, did I read the one from Pastor Roselle White already? Does the library leadership believe that there is a racism issue within the library? So make sure we have that one noted. Do we have anything else? We just have a few more minutes, and I want to make sure we get everything in, Dana.
Toby did ask to speak again.
As long as we have no other new comments, I'd love to hear from Toby again.
Yep, he was the only one.
Okay,
We have
Toby.
comments in every in the chat. I don't know if you. We do have somebody else who wants to comment besides Toby.
To speak?
Yes.
They haven't spoken?
Correct.
Okay, we'll have the other person. What's their name?
I'm not sure.
Okay, whoever.
Yeah.
Does the name say at the
Unmute.
top?
It's. I think it's. They're connecting now.
Okay, we'll have this person speak. Please keep us to the 3 minutes so we can get Toby in right after, okay? Hello? Can't hear. Is the technical problem on their end or ours? Do we know, Dana?
It looks like theirs.
Okay, then we're gonna put them on hold for a second. Do we have you? We're gonna put them on hold for a second because our time is tight and come back to them. Let's visit Toby again and then come back. We'll get back to you, other person. I didn't see what your name was, sorry.
It looks like it's Taylor.
Taylor. You ready, Taylor?
Let me try one more time. Taylor?
Okay, let's put Taylor on hold for a second. Let's get to Toby and then we'll come back to Taylor for sure.
Okay.
Toby, can we keep it at 2 minutes since we already did 3? Are you good with that? Just so I can give the new person a little time.
Yeah, definitely. It's a young person, so I definitely want to get her in.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so I just wanted to give a reminder of what I said. So one of the things that I discussed earlier was using the resources at Novi Library to bring in different community groups to take advantage of said resources and also have complete diversity within our programming. Or in fact, let me eliminate the word diversity, to have Black and white conversations within the programming. Let's get right to it, bare bones. One of the things that my baby girl said hi. One of the things that I talked about with you guys during Tia Marie's led rally was asking permission from the African American community to have a direct conversation with the European American community. And that was granted. I think that's really important. One of the questions that was asked to me privately to somebody in this chat is, who do you guys think is more confused about racism, white people or Black people? And as controversial as this may sound, I take the position that it's Black people. Because we've had to face so much overt racism, hangings, lynchings, rapings, kidnappings, beating, etc., that we're more than happy to take the microaggressive racism that we have to take today in abundance, because that's way better than the other stuff we had to face. So by having programs at your library and within your community, we can invite a lot of African Americans there, and that will basically be you giving the okay for them to have less confusion and for them to take the steps necessary to combat it. And that's why I invited Greg McKenzie with Alkebulan Village. Of course, I'll bring my young men from Phase Forward. And one of the places that we do our Phase Forward programming with is Detroit Crystal Ray. And we're able to get a lot of resources from Catholic Central. So I'm thinking, as seeing it proven, that can be a very valuable thing. And I'm going to end there, let the young lady talk, and Gail, let's talk, let's get this thing rolling.
Absolutely, we'll do. Taylor, are you ready? Thank you, Toby.
I think she left. She
Did she
might have been
leave?
trying
Come
to
back if
come
you
back.
can.
I know, I don't see her yet, but I'll keep
Okay,
an eye out.
there's one
I can keep
comment in the
going if
chat that
not.
said it's very, there's one comment in the chat box that says this is very obvious that it is not about racism, meaning this platform is
Looks like she's back.
speak. It's open for them to speak.
All
Hi,
right.
sweetie, behind Toby. Thanks, Toby.
All right.
Taylor, are you there?
Hello? Hello?
There she goes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Taylor?
Okay. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
I was having some issues with the
No
microphone
problem.
stuff, but I just want to say hello, everyone, and thank you for this forum. Being Black in a predominantly white community has been a walk in the park. But I'm thankful that I had my mother by my side, me and my sister. She's always helped us learn, like, to give back to the community. Just from our her summer lunch program, Feed the Need, she really made sure that we weren't just members of the community, but active people that gave back to the community. And like I said, my mom, she doesn't just advocate for Black people, she advocates for everyone. And I feel that it is very unfortunate that she couldn't be a part of the panel today, because she has a lot of great ideas, and that's why I decided to come on, because I feel as if though my mom has been pushed to the side. In this instance right now, has been pushed to the side. No, you hush up, hush up. We don't want you to speak your mind or hear your ideas. Where she's been an active member. She doesn't just speak for her problems or for things that we've gone through. She speaks for people that may not be comfortable or may not feel strong enough or may not be confident enough to speak for themselves. She's always taught me and my sister, never be afraid to speak up for yourself and for others. So in this instance, because she cannot speak, I will speak for her on her behalf. And I just want to say thank you, Mom. Thank you for this forum, because, and other people of this community that I heard speak today that have also been active part of the community, of the Novi community, and have been an active part in my life. And I know that my mom has worked with. I just want to say thank you to all of them as well. I was a little nervous and scared to get on here, because it's hard. It's not easy. And I think Jason, because
Don't be. Look straight at me. Don't be nervous.
Julie, you do have a responsibility. You are the face of the Novi Public Library, and I feel it is your duty to make changes and to make some adjustments in the way things are being ran or done at the Novi Library. There's been a time, this when I actually went to school at Novi High School, where my friends have been dealt with or talked to in a manner that's not how you talk to somebody, if you get what I'm saying. When you're addressing something, there's a way that you go about it. But I felt like friends or members of the Novi community that looked like me were being talked to or dealt with in a certain manner that you wouldn't do that with anybody else. And it's been to points of police have had to come up to the library. And I just find that very interesting, because why is a child having the police called on them for something that can simply be handled just by a simple conversation? And again, I just want to say I'm thankful, because luckily I had my own mother that was working for the Novi Public Library and that could advocate for me and advocate for my friends or the members of the community where we felt our voices weren't being heard. She spoke up and stood up for us. And that was risking her job, risking friendships, risking anything. But she didn't care about that. She cared about what was right and righting the wrongs that were being done to children that didn't deserve it or that couldn't speak up or felt their voices were not being heard. So again, I just want to say thank you. And I hope that next time we have a chance to do this, that my mother, Tia Marie Sanders, is on the panel, because she has a lot to say. And also she's doing. She's not just saying, she's doing. And that's what I look at. I look at, okay, we can talk all day. We can talk all day, but what are we doing? How are we moving forward? What are the changes that are not, we're just talking about, but that we're seeing happening? And that's what I look at. So thank you again. I do appreciate it. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you, Taylor. Thank you
No
so much.
problem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have anyone else? Dana, we have just a couple of more minutes. No more? Okay,
Nope, just some comments.
I see a comment. Racism should be treated similar to a science. It should be taught at all educational institutions with the intent to find solutions. That's a comment that we have. Let's see. If you see additional comments in there, Dana, you can please point out. They're scrolling so fast. How are you keeping track? That's why I'm not technical.
Yeah, there was a bigger comment just above that one. If you scroll up a little.
Great job, young lady. I think that was Taylor. That wasn't me. Although I still try and call myself young. They were talking to me, were they? Great job, Taylor. Appreciate it. I can't see the one above it. I'm sorry.
Let me try. Let me copy and paste it.
The board must take a stand toward the opposition of racism. No citizen should be ever subjected to that. Nonetheless, a dedicated employee. I believe they're talking about Tia Marie here. If you are serious about change, question mark, question mark, question mark, make the change, exclamation point 3 times. We're coming close to the end, but I still want to make it available. If you have something else to say, please say it. Someone says this seems like just a smokescreen from the library. Why not hear from someone in the community who has invited many others, hear others this evening? I think a word may have been left out there. A forum, this forum is a good start. Next is, what are the next steps? I'd like to say something is Aisha.
Yep.
Okay, Aisha, I think you're going to close it out with our public comments.
All right. Unmute.
Hi, can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hello, hi everyone.
Welcome.
I'm gonna take my video off because I'm in my car and it's dark.
Okay,
and
no
I'm
problem.
parked. I'm parked, just so you know. I just wanted to speak real fast. I work for an organization called Mothering Justice. I spoke this past summer at the Novi rally that they had around racism and equity. And so I'm just here wanting to encourage folks. Mothering Justice has a accountability academy. It is focused towards people of European descent, white people that are used to the norms of America, and it teaches you about the biases and the racism that we face today. I know there's somebody on the call, Sharon, she went through it, and it's very informative, but it allows you to understand the racism that Toby was talking about earlier. So I just want to encourage people. That is one thing that folks can do. Again, the organization is called Mothering Justice. We're a social justice nonprofit. We're based out in Detroit. We advocate for mamas of color through policy change. So we change policies in and around the state and the country. We focus on affordable childcare, paid family leave, reproductive justice issues, and also safety net programs. I organize around paid family leave. And so the organization is a Black woman-led, Black-owned nonprofit in the city of Detroit. And so if folks want to get involved in that way, there is one resource for you to understand the biases and the racism that people don't understand, and to get the lineage behind it. So I just want to offer that, and just thank you all for having this forum, and you know, just to keep me in the loop, because I think that this is a good first step, and we can continue to have these conversations. So that's it.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. As we start to close out, Trustee Tara did have a handout that addressed further issues on racism. If you want to educate yourself, you want to educate others, it's a very good handout. If you would like to have, I was supposed to upload it, I think, but I got technically challenged. So email the Diversity and Equity and Inclusion Committee to request that. Julie has her hand up. Yes, please. Yes, Julie.
I think we could make that available through our social media and stuff. We could actually just push it out. We'll do that.
Yes, we'll do that. She has a very good handout on that. So please, Tara, yes. Is she unmuted, Dana?
I'm
on board with what Julie said as far as having the handout available. And Gail, I'm thinking you have everybody registered, right? So you have their information. Can they automatically get an email
Yes.
out?
I can send it to you.
Perfect.
Very
Okay,
good.
that just takes a little bit of the pressure off of them and
No problem.
be accountable. Thank you.
And if you're in here and you receive the link from someone else and you did not register, the best thing I can say, I guess, is if you can follow our social media. We'll put it there. Many options. You can email me, G.Anderson@Novi Library. You can email the committee, DEI, Novi Library. Either way, we can get it to you. I'd like to thank everyone. This may have been a start. I think it's a start. We have a long ways to go, and we all acknowledge that. But I hope you feel that something came from this. We are going to do all that we can to make progress, and that's what we can commit to collectively, individually, in every way possible. We will address your concerns. Your concerns are our concerns. I was listening to so much and things were just running through my head, and I hope that's the same with each and every one of us. Thank you to the Novi Public Library staff members that are listening. Thank you to the board, the directors, but especially our community, because this is just so important. And I thank you for taking out your time this late in the evening to address this concern. Log back on, register, and the only reason I say register is that's the only way you can get the Zoom link. So we will have it on our calendar for November the 9th at 7 p.m. And I don't think we've necessarily decided whether it will be a back and forth or just a statement. Whatever it is, you will be a part of it, and we want you to feel comfortable. And if that's not the proper way to address your concerns, let us know that as well. We ask that you would, within the next day or two, send your email request of how, even if it's how you wish for us to address your response. Whatever it is, the door is open. The platform and setting has been provided to you. Please take advantage of it. Again, we're in your corner. I am the we on both sides. So appreciate you tonight. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, DEI committee, and have a good evening. Can I take these glasses off? I know some are still logging off, but once I took the glasses off, then I couldn't see it all. So, good night, everyone.
Would you want me to close it for everyone besides?
Everyone except the
Okay.
board.
We already left. Let's see. It's weird.
Bill.
That one's like stuck.
What happened? Are there still more?
Bill's definitely on.
Just Bill.
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
I think Julie fell off though.
Yeah, did Julie?
She did.
I always forget to say when I say bye, I'm not talking to the original people.
She can come back.
Like, where'd she go?
Ask if Julie can hop back on, if she can.
Do you want me to stop recording?
Yes.
Okay.